This is the Emerging Artist Podcast on Drummer Africa. So, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Emerging Artist Podcast. We took a hiatus of sorts recording this podcast, but we're back and we are taking on a new format because we have a new co-host in the team. He has joined Drummer Africa's team, and we're excited to have him. He's a manager, an A&R, a DJ, I think. Let me just introduce him. He's Toby Vice.
Yeah, my name is Toby Vice, that's Vise. Glad to be on board with Drummer Africa doing this podcast. So basically, I am a talent manager and an A&R. I started in music as a DJ, but I don't really DJ that much anymore. The music business has, you were right. The music business has basically taken over my DJing career. So right now I basically just DJ for fun. So basically I just do more majorly talent management, A&R, and then I act as an entertainment consultant for artists generally.
Yeah, we're happy to have him on board. And in this episode of this podcast, we are talking about 5 people you need in your corner as an artist, building a team as an artist, because no man is an island. Every successful artist have a team behind them, and emerging artists should have a team behind them, especially from the start. Yeah,
definitely.
So I'll be going first. So what we're going to do is I'll name the first person I have on my list. He will name the second person. The first person he has on his own list. We'll talk about it, and we'll go through the list of 5 people we think every single artist should have in their team, starting up. For me, the person taking the number 1 spots in your team should be you, the artist, because your team won't work. Whoever you bring with you won't work unless you do. You have to lead from the front. Do you understand? You have to put in the same amount, if not more, of the same amount of work ethic you want the people on your team to bring. Do you understand? The team starts with you and it ends with you, because you are the focal point of the team. You are the one bringing everybody together, because everybody is coming together for your sake. Do you understand? And you as the artist, even though the point of building a team is to remove some responsibilities from your hand, you have to also be able to play every single role for yourself. You have to also educate yourself in every single role you're looking for people for. Do you get?
That's a good start. Yeah, the artist is the focal point of the team, and everybody else that comes on the team revolves around artists. But for me personally, I would not necessarily add artists as part of the team. So I would say like the first most important person an artist should have on his or her team should be their lawyer. I know this might sound a bit strange or a bit weird to some people, but I feel the lawyer is like the most important person you should have, because the music business is a business of legal agreements. Because even if you want to get a manager, you want to get an A&R, you want to work with a producer, there are certain contractual agreements that have to come in for the artist to be able to work with whichever stakeholder they need to work with in the business. And the lawyer is there to be able to sort out all of this. So drafting the contracts, reviewing the contracts, giving the artists legal advice on what to do, what not to do, all of that. So that's why, for me personally, the first person the moment an artist decides that yes, they want to go into music fully, they want to build a career in music, the first person they should get is a lawyer. And not just any lawyer, an entertainment lawyer, because I've seen situations where artists go to property lawyers, they go to real estate lawyers and say they should help them draft contracts. I know that's wrong. You should go to an entertainment lawyer, somebody who fully understands the workings of the entertainment business. So that way the person will be able to draft and review the contracts that you need properly, so you don't end up in crappy situations and all. So yeah, for me, the first person you should have in your corner as an artist is an entertainment lawyer.
For me, I don't really think a lawyer on your team is necessary from the start. Yes, it's good to know a lawyer that you can reach out to when needed. So, like for me, the lawyer is not going to take space on my 5-man team for now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, my second player you need on your team for me is your personal manager, and this is something you should choose with you should really think about it before you pick someone, because you wouldn't want to be changing managers like frequently, because the manager will have to bring in a system that will work for you and him. He has to bring in his experiences. He has to be ready to be in the trenches with you working. He has to pretty much take you as his little brother or little sister. He has to protect you. He has to educate you. He has to guide your decisions in the industry. He has to give you good advice always. So himself has to always be on his toes. He should always be up to date with things in the industry. He should be ready to learn. He should be ready to adapt. He should be ready to, move when it's time to move, execute the vision and the plan. He's planning, he's executing. So you should actually find someone that believes deeply in your talents and can also be your captain, because you also have to have a certain amount of respect for your manager for the relationship to work. Do you get? So it's
definitely.
It's a relationship, is a partnership, really. Is like a wedding, because your manager has to basically know your workings and know the best surroundings for you as an artist and put you in those places. And these things take time to grow, and it takes time to because these things take time to grow. So you need a manager that is ready to be with you for the long haul, and you need someone that is ready to work with you. Pretty much, it's someone that is ready to put himself in harm's way for you. I'm sorry, because your personal manager he's basically your guide in the industry. Do you get? So that's what I think.
Yeah, basically your knight in the shining armor.
Exactly. Regardless of your gender, the personal manager should be your knight.
Yeah. I totally agree with you. But for me, I'll put the manager as my third person. So there's somebody I would personally put as the second person that should come in before the manager comes in. For me, that is an A&R or an A&R representative. Yeah, just for people who don't know what A&R means, A&R basically just stands for artist and repertoire.
Yeah.
And what an A&R does is he or she is basically responsible for the creative development of the artist. So what the A&R, and in most cases, funny thing is, in most cases, the A&R is usually the one who discovers the artists, because it's the A&Rs who go to open mics, go to shows, go to concerts, always on streaming platforms, discovering new artists. Yep.
That's basically on a label system, right? Because
not necessarily on a label system, because right now there are independent A&Rs who don't even work with labels. Example is me. I don't work with the label. I'm an independent A&R.
Yes, I get, but as an artist, you want to seek out an A&R that don't work with a label if you don't have a manager already, because the way I see it, a lot of the times out here is the manager that actually discovers the artist and puts the artists on some sort of pedestal for A&Rs to say, oh, okay, they've discovered this artist. Because those shows the A&Rs are going for is your manager that is meant to get you those bookings. Even if you a booking manager is there, but as an upcoming artist, your manager is your booking manager as well. Do you get?
Yeah, definitely. I understand what you're saying, but where I'm coming from is right now. I've seen situations where independent artists like work on their own and they get some of the shows on their own with no manager or nobody like helping them get the shows. They go out by themselves and try and get on some of these shows. So I'm saying in situations like that, they might come in contact with one or two A&Rs who like actually like their music and would want to work with them. So yeah, I understand your point where you're coming from in terms of like your manager helps you like get a gig, you perform at the gig, and he now sees you and says he wants to work with you. Then your manager and the AR now have to now like come together, and then come to an agreement and work with you and properly like develop you. But now I'm looking at it from a situation where the artist doesn't even have a manager to even start with. You get like it's a fully independent artist, nobody at all.
Okay.
So in a situation like that, the A&R will be the one that will like probably discover the artist first and approach the artist and like, yo, what's up? I like your sound, I like your music. I feel if we work together, we can sort of like develop something. Because ideally the way I don't want to say the way it's supposed to be, but the way things usually are supposed to work is the A&R discovers the artist, right? Develops the artist, creates a sort of, because the artist is basically like a raw material. Yeah, if I can put it that way. The artist is basically like a raw material that creates a product. The product is the music they create, right? So the A&R is there to sort of like develop this raw material to create a very, very good product that can be sold commercially, right? So the reason why I will put the A&R before the manager is because under normal circumstances, a manager is more or less these days in like modern times, managers are more or less like business developers. Basically, they help sell the product and sell the brand. So a manager can't come in unless there's actually a product to be sold. And the person who helps in creating a proper product that will be commercially viable is the A&R. So that's why I put the A&R before the manager. So the A&R works with the artist and helps develop the artist to create a good product. And sometimes in some cases, the A&R also helps to sort of help develop the brand with the manager now tends to amplify and go on to sell. So that very, very first point of creative development for the artist, because what you discover is sometimes these independent artists are, yes, you see the talent, but sometimes in the music they make, you have to make like one or two changes for it to really be commercially viable, for it to really be pleasing to the ears. Do you get? So once A&R comes in to sort of like develop that raw material and make it a finished product or a semi-finished product, then you can now like hand over to the manager and say, okay, I have a semi-finished product, a finished product that you can now go out and amplify and sell. So that's the way I sort of see it.
Yeah, but you're pretty much defining the manager you talk about in your scenario is what I'll call a business manager, not a personal manager. Do you understand? So yes.
Well, yeah. These days, Well, okay. I understand where you're coming. I understand where you're coming from. But basically, personal managers these days in modern times, they are more or less business developers. They go out there and seek business for their artists. Basically, just trying to like exploit their talents. When I mean exploit means like in a good way. Exploit their talents, exploit their brands, bring in revenue for the artists. The business managers more or less these days handle like the financial aspects. That's money basically, when money starts coming in. So they like assist the artist on. Yeah, that's what I said. The business manager is usually an accountant. That's the thing. Business managers are usually accountants that come in to help sort out taxes, sort out payrolls for the artist, sort out royalty collections. If the artist is supposed to pay a particular person a percentage of the royalties they earn from their songs, the business manager is the person in charge of that. So it's like there's been like a paradigm shift in like the business aspect of the music. So personal managers now sort of like handle business development, while business managers are usually accountants that help like handle money when money starts coming in, basically.
True. Okay, what number are we on? Number 3, the third player.
Yeah.
The top player on my team would have to be Publicity for me. The top player on my team is going to be a publicist, someone that can handle your PR, because at this point you'll be making music. You need to put those music somewhere. You need to have a press kit. You need to push for interviews. You need to push for blog placements. You need to push for radio airplay. So your PR guy is going to be the one that would help you and handle these things, talk to OAPs, talk to radio stations, talk to blogs and platforms, create your press kits, send out your press kits, build a mailing list for you. Basically, your PR guy is meant to handle basically secure airplay and press for you. That's what a PR guy is meant to handle for you. So for me, your top player has to be a PR person, because at this point you've already started releasing music and you need those music and you need people to listen to your songs. So yeah, your PR is going to be the one to help handle that aspect, your music release, handle even content creation for your music release, like dance videos and stuff like that. It's your PR guy that is going to be the one that help you and secure these things. So he's my number 3 player.
Permit me to sort of like disagree with you a little bit on the roles of PR. Yeah. Right. So
wait, what role didn't you agree with?
Okay, first of all, in the case of what's it called? Where you mentioned about content creation, trying to get radio airplay, that's not really like the role of a PR. So basically, what PR is meant to do is PR is supposed to, like as an artist, you're supposed to have, as an artist, you're a brand. And as a brand, you're supposed to have a brand story and a brand promise, right? So what PR is basically supposed to do for you is supposed to just create a narrative around your brand story and your brand promise, and then amplify it to your audience. So, for example, now...
Hold on, I get that, and that is also a role of a PR, but when it comes... yes, I agree, but that's more of a corporate sense. But when it comes down to music, a music PR also handles your airplay. He's also meant to handle your airplay in music PR. Do you get?
Well, not necessarily, because that's why you have music promoters or radio pluggers. Do you understand? It's your promoter who's supposed to be chasing, getting you on radio, getting you on...
PR that is meant to talk to these people. Do you understand? These aren't people that are meant to be on your team. It's one person that is meant to interact with these people. Do you get?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I totally get what you're saying. But I feel like the primary role of PR is just to amplify your brand promise and your brand story using media outlets. So that's true, like online interviews, TV interviews, radio interviews, also helping with your press releases, writing press releases, stuff like that. Getting you radio airplay and stuff like that should necessarily be handled by your promoter, because all of that comes under music promotion.
Yeah, definitely. I know it definitely comes under music promotion. But I mean, we pretty much said the same thing. You're only disagreeing with the fact that getting airplays.
Yeah, that's for me. I don't think a PR person has any business trying to get you radio airplay. Instead, it should probably try to be getting you like interviews on radio, and that should come like after you sort of like have a little bit of presence around you.
Okay, so who's yours?
Well, I think I've basically mentioned it. So I think my third person will now be like your personal manager. That's where your manager comes in and then basically helps you develop and sell you as a product. Develops your business as an artist and then sells your product, which is the music you're making. Yeah, so I think that's my third member of your team.
Okay. So my fourth is an A&R. So I'm just going to go, if you want to know what an A&R does, you can rewind and listen to what Toby said, because he pretty much covered what an A&R does for you. So the first member of my team is an A&R, and the fifth member of my team is going to be a creative manager or a creative director or whatever you want to call it. Basically, someone that handles everything from graphics to... No, he doesn't necessarily have to handle graphics itself. He just have to, basically handle the creative design of your brand. And as an artist, as Toby said, you're a brand, and things that make a brand is an identity, pretty much. So from your logo to your cover art, everything has to be in line with your identity. So is the creative on your team, the creative manager, the creative director, that is going to be the one to create these identities and make sure every single content, every single material that is associated with your brand is up to par with your identity. So basically, that's the fifth person that has to be on your team. This could be a role you play depending on your skills. I know some artists that could easily work for one of the biggest companies as their brand director, their creative director in their company, or their product designer. Do you understand? So like this could personally be you, but you could have a friend that handles these things for you that is also good with art, that is very artistic. So yeah, the fifth and final person on my team is your creative director.
Well, yeah, actually, I totally agree with that. And that's going to be like the fourth person on my list. You need a creative director, because every single content you put out has to align with your brand, what you say your brand is. You can't say your brand is A and the content you're putting out is saying Z or saying Y. Everything has to be consistent. And yes, it can also be you as the artist. And because I have a client, shout out to Wale. He's one of my clients I manage. He's also a creative director. He's a graphic designer. He's a videographer. He's a photographer, and he's also an artist. So, and he tells him, Wale is somebody who puts a lot of, he pays so much attention to whatever content he's using to push his music. So the song can be ready to go, but the content took an extra 2 weeks or extra 3 weeks for him to create, because he wants every attention to detail. He wants the content to basically speak for him on his behalf. So once you see it, you already know, okay, this is from Wale. So yeah, as an artist, you can also be your creative director if you have the skill. But if you don't, it would be best you get somebody who really, really is good at it and will be able to bring your brand identity to life. So once any content you put up, even if it's your picture, even if you're just posting a picture.
Yeah.
So at least there should be something that should say, okay, once somebody sees anything from this particular artist, they already, without even seeing your name or anything attached to it, they already know whose content is this. So that's why a creative director is really, 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 really important.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's number 4 for me. And I think number five for me will be is going to be a group of people. I basically tagged them like your marketing team. So this is going to sort of comprise of a promoter, a publicist, and maybe you could add a digital marketer, because we're basically in the digital age and everybody's online, or rather most people are online, and doing your marketing online is sort of a little bit cheaper and you can reach more people from just the comfort of your bedroom. This role can be played by one person or can be played by 3 different people. Basically, these 3 people are working together to just amplify your work and take your music to places where people can actually know about you and listen to you. So now, your promoter basically is the person who is going to be handling all your promotion activities. So any form of promotion you're doing, your promoter handles that. If you're trying to get airplays on radio, if you're trying to get playlisting, if you're trying to do online promotions, basically that's the job of your promoter. Then we talked about previously on your publicist, who is your PR person. So getting you press, sending your press kits out to the stakeholders who need it, getting you online interviews, radio interviews, TV interviews, or whatever case might be. That's the publicist. Then your digital marketer should be in charge of your digital strategy. So how you go about your rollout plans on social media, how you go about running ads on social media, promote your music, stuff like that. So like I said earlier, this role can be played by one particular person who actually knows how to play the 3 roles, or it could be 3 or 2 people. Basically, that's why I said it's going to be like a group of people, and together they're like your market. So basically, their job is just to amplify your work as an artist, get your music out there into the ears of people. So yeah, that's the final member of the team for me.
Man,
I don't know if you want to add anything else.
Nah. I'm good. And I believe like with this group of people, like any artist with the right set of people, any artist should be successful. And if you can go back to listen to the first episode of this podcast, I said that you as the artist, you have to define what success is for you, and that would guide your decisions, and that will also guide your team's decisions with the moves you make.
Yeah, that's very, very, very important. Like that's very, very, because success is relative.
Yeah, exactly.
For some people, success is having 1,000 fans. For some people, success is being a niche artist in a particular genre.
Yeah.
For some other people, success is they want to be global. They want to be on the Wiz, Davido, Burna level. So as an artist, you have to actually sit down and ask yourself what success means to you.
Exactly.
So the moment you can answer that question, then gathering your team will be easier for you, because
yes, exactly.
you will be able to let them know, okay, this is what I'm trying to achieve.
Yeah.
This is where I need you to come in. Then they will say, okay, fine, we're on board with this. Let's move. So you really have to define what success means to you. That's like the first stage. Once you do that, I mean, every other team will basically just align.
Yeah, because you'll be working in guidance with your defined vision of success. Do you understand? So you always have to have that vision, and so at least you know where you're going and the moves to make to get there. Do you understand?
Yeah, and that's why I always try to make it clear to artists that you have to have set goals, short-term goals, long-term goals. I mean, I know there's this general perception. When you meet an artist, you ask them, well, what are your goals? The very first thing they'll tell you, I want to blow. That's what every artist will tell you, and that. It's nice. It's good to have that
on Apple Music Explore page.
Exactly, those kind of things. I mean, it's good to have those kind of things, but those are not the type of goals you should be setting for yourself. You should also have specific goals. Like, for example, now, if someone should ask you, okay, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? You should be able to say something like, okay, in the next 5 years, I want to have a cumulative of, let's say, minimum cumulative of 100,000 streams across all streaming platforms. Now, you know that that's a very specific goal. So you know that in the next 5 years, you're chasing nothing less than 100,000 streams across all streaming platforms. So your day-to-day activities will be things that will lead to that.
Yeah.
Or you say in the next 2 years, I want to be performing at a 500 capacity venue. That's also a very specific goal. So you know that every single thing you're going to be doing within those 2 years is something that will lead to you performing at a venue of 500 people, not you just saying you want to blow or you want to be on a billboard or that's, for me, I see that as being short-sighted. So you have to actually sit down, define specific goals that you can measure, specific goals that you can measure and are time-based. That's another key thing. It has to be time-based. You have to set a time. It can be 6 months, it can be 3 months, it can be a year, it can be 2 years, it can be 5 years, it can even be 10 years. But there should be a time limit so that if you set a goal for, say, 6 months, by the 6th month, you know that, okay, have I achieved it or not? If I've achieved it, great. If I've not achieved it, what has gone wrong down the line? You will be able to trace your steps back and see what went wrong, and then you try and fix it and then move on to the next thing.
Yeah. But if you want to actually get more on that, we can do another episode together, or you can listen to the first episode of the podcast, which is where I talk about setting goals as an artist and starting up as an artist pretty much. We would also like to hear from you guys if you guys like this discussion setup of the podcast, and if what you guys want from us, how do you guys want us to be, handling this podcast, and if you're getting value from this podcast, kindly share to your fellow artists, share to everybody, like and rate the podcast on whichever platform you're listening on, and leave us a comment or something. Just reach out to us and we'll surely get back to you. So this has been the Emerging Artist Podcast, building a team, the 5 people you need on your team. We hope you got value from it.